Let's give this a try. You can find the article I'm talking about here. For some positive news, I found this article. Let's end the undesirable Asian male stereotype. And yes, it's written by an Asian woman. That's not a boba liberal. She grew up in a predominantly white community, was surrounded mostly by white people, yet she found a way to have a crush on Aaron Kwok. The nice thing about this article are these little snippets, where this one's about how Asian men are represented in the media as being emasculated, timid, and nerdy, and how it can influence Asian minds, and how they perceive themselves and interact with groups. She goes on about how the media and her social groups would enforce these ideas and stereotypes about Asian men. And this little snippet showed a study about how Asian men were perceived. And when the media and society enforces the Asian men to be nothing more than a racist stereotype, how are Asian men supposed to combat that stereotype? And while living in the West, she found a way to reject the racist stereotypes. And she knows the perception about Asian women being married to white men, and cites Pew Research about how Asian women are marrying mostly white men versus Asian men. And this right here is a great quote. Although figures may be true, the stereotype that all Asian women desire white men creates a detrimental belief that Asians are an inferior race, as it assumes that we desire to have our culture washed. And she even tackles the stereotype about Asian men being misogynistic. You hear that, boba liberals? When I gave birth to my son, I started thinking about his future and how Asian male stereotypes will shape him. He is growing up at a very different time than me. Fortunately, the current media has become more inclusive in its representation of Asian men. Not to mention, Asian men are getting better representation because of increased access to international media. Here's another great quote. Although the current trends fare better than my childhood, it doesn't mean stereotypes don't exist. It's important to be aware and recognize stereotypes are being made and acknowledge and damaging effects it has on others. For those that are being stereotyped, speak up, share your story, and don't be afraid to present yourself authentically. Because this is one of the many reasons why I started this whole thing, was because I did not like a lot of the people who are representing Asians speaking for me and dismissing the evidence that I know I've experienced. I want to present you the evidence and speak for myself to the point where only racist people could deny that's what's happening to us. Racists are going to fight us no matter what, because that's what racists do. But I see change happening. It's very slow, but it's happening. I'm seeing more people speak up than those and over those that rather keep us stereotyped and oppressed.